All right, so let's talk about the issues of the day. I want to remind our viewers that this is your program. We invite you to call in, send us your questions. The instructions on how to do that will appear on your screen. We invite you to participate in our program and get some questions to our viewers. Let's begin. Let's begin by talking about the transportation bill. It's been in the news a little bit. There's been discussion at both the House and Senate level. I'm not sure who our veteran legislators. Let's start with you, Senator Eakin. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what's happened in the area of transportation.
Sure. Well, we've been trying to get compromise agreement on the issue of how to fund transportation. Everybody agrees that we have significant transportation needs that are currently not being met. And so, and I think everybody agrees that it's at least, we're looking at some very significant shortfalls in funding. And the only question is how to do that. And in the House, the proposal has been more to take it out of the general fund and to allocate taxes that are currently going into the general fund, for instance, for auto parts and things of that nature, into transportation. That would be taking money away from other things that are funded through the general fund, however, like nursing homes and schools and things of that nature. In the Senate, we've been proposing more the gas tax user fee, which is the traditional way we've done it in the past, and it is constitutionally dedicated, whereas funding from the general fund is not. So you could get that funding this year, but next year maybe you won't. Whereas with gas tax user fee, that funding is going to be there long into the future. And transportation, you need to have long-term planning as well. So that stable funding is very, very important. Another thing about the gas tax user fee is that it runs through a formula which is actually very beneficial for Greater Minnesota in that we get back more than what we pay in Greater Minnesota. Every dollar we pay in, we're getting back much more into our roads and bridges. In other words, we're leveraging money from the metropolitan area to put into our roads and bridges in Greater Minnesota. And that is justified in my view because we don't have the population base or the property tax base in order to fund these needs as well as we need. So as a result, I think that that's been the impasse really, is whether to do it through the traditional way of the gas tax user fee. Another reason that the gas tax user fee is more beneficial for the rural areas is because the farm fuel is exempt from the gas tax, which is the largest industry in our area, and that is exempt. Also, there's provisions for border cities, which benefits my area because I represent Moorhead and Dilworth. And in Moorhead and Dilworth, they would not pay any increase in any gas tax. If a gas tax user fee was passed, there would be no additional tax in Moorhead or Dilworth, which is actually about 60% of my district that wouldn't have to pay it. So they get all the benefits but wouldn't have to pay any of the costs. So for our area, there's no question. There's questions about how to raise the funds, but there's no question about what's the best way to do it for Greater Minnesota and for our area, between taking it from the general fund or taking it.
Senator, I'll give you a chance to answer this question as everybody else, but the press coverage seems to suggest that maybe the transportation bill is in pretty serious trouble and may not actually pass. Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely unless there's a willingness to compromise on both parts. Now, in both the House and the Senate. Now, we're willing to compromise on the general fund. I don't like taking it from the general fund because you're taking it from nursing homes and you're taking it from schools, you're taking it from colleges and universities, you're taking it from people, and I don't want to be pitting roads and bridges against people. But in order to get a compromise, yes, we're willing to accept taking some from the general fund. But there also has to be some taken from the gas tax user fee if there's going to be a compromise. And so right now I haven't seen a willingness to compromise right now on the gas tax user fee. Until that happens, I think it's unlikely that we're going to see a big transportation bill this year.
Senator Nelson?
Well, I'm glad I have a chance to speak to this because I'm in the Senate also, but I have a bit of a different view. But I would say Senator Eakin's exactly right. Everyone realizes that there's a great need, probably about $600 million a year for the next 10 years. So we know that. But I would say that even Governor Dayton himself, as late as December, said the gas tax was dead. And quite frankly, when we're sitting on a $900 million surplus, it's very hard to think about instituting a new gas tax. And you might remember we left $856 million on the bottom line last year for transportation and tax relief. combined. So there is money for transportation, but I do agree with you. I'm also worried that I think the transportation bill might be on life support tonight. But I think the need is so great that I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail, and there is some compromise. If I were queen for a day, my compromise would be, yes, dedicate the existing sales tax for auto parts, that type of thing. That's the general fund piece. Use that funding. And then also, it seems to me our transportation is in such needs because we've never really figured out how to pay for light rail. And it's very expensive, very costly, benefits a very small area of the state, maybe just 2 or 3 or 7 counties at the most. And so if there were some way to allow some transit funding by the people who benefit from that transit funding, which might be something in the metro area, maybe extending their sales tax, or not the legislature extending it, but giving them the authority to go to their people for a referendum, just like Rochester has 3 times. We have extended our local option sales tax. Rochesterites have stood up and said, what you're going to do with this money is so important to us, we're willing to extend our sales tax. So I think we're going to continue to have transportation problems until we figure out this whole light rail thing. And I will say that's one of the areas that some of the Senate Democrats have said they're not going to compromise on. So they sent a letter, of course, to Governor Dayton saying, we're not doing anything with transportation until we get Southwest Light Rail and other things. So I think we all have to, I agree, I think, too bad we're not running the things here, but there should be some compromise, and I'm hoping at the end of the day we get that. Minnesotans deserve it.
Representative Bly, your thoughts?
Yes, well, I agree with what has been said already, that there's this logjam about how do we pay for the great needs of transportation we have. I know in talking to people in my county and city that they have raised some taxes, just as the Senator Nelson mentioned, and they're frustrated with us because we haven't stepped forward and given some money to this long-term issue. The governor, I think, laid out early on that this needs long-term funding, and it's not something we can solve this biennium. And so we're giving false information, I think, out to the public if we let them think that we can solve it with the monies that we have today. Even though we do have a surplus, we need to look at ongoing funding going forward. And the gas tax is a useful tool in that it's dedicated. However, there are areas of the transportation bill that it doesn't cover, transit being one of them. Also, one of my interests is intercity passenger rail. And, in my community, that's been something that's been very popular. And I think we're missing something. Dwayne mentioned Minnesota has changed over the years. Also, the rest of the country is leaving us behind because we're not establishing those connections to other economic centers like Chicago or Dallas-Fort Worth, which we could do with investment in passenger rail, beginning now and getting ready for things that are happening for St. Louis and the state of Michigan that are moving forward on intercity passenger rail are passing us by. We're going to miss something, I think, at being economically competitive if we don't do something like that. But that falls behind transit in a sense. In some cases, in my own community, it's actually cheaper than thinking about transit because the rails are already there. You don't have to build that infrastructure. You have to do some upgrade to it, but you don't necessarily have to build it. And so that's something I'd like to see move forward. We really need to be thinking to the future and how we need to have different types of transportation available to people while we also pay for the infrastructure we have today. And part of it is, I think, with investing in transit and passenger rail transportation, is you take some of that pressure off the roads so there isn't as much wear and tear on them. And I think that that's an important thing to consider as well. I don't know how we're going to get out of this situation. We also have the bonding bill, which has in the House, which has a fair amount of transportation in it. I don't know how the senators feel about that. But there's some discomfort in the House among Democrats because we'd like to spend some of that money on some other projects rather than just on transportation. We've always had some transportation in the bonding bill, but not to the extent that it's there today.
And we're going to come back to bonding, but I'm going to first go to you, Representative Quam, and your thoughts on the transportation issue.
Well, frankly, both on the federal and state level, the gas tax has been broken for many years. As mileage goes up, as we have alternative fuel vehicles, there's less amount of money coming in per utilization. So do we go ahead and define the kilowatts used to charge an electric car as fuel and therefore falls underneath fuel tax? Do we look at, we're adding bike lanes, do we have licenses and tabs for the bikes? It seems much easier to just go and say, you know, anything related to cars and motor vehicles to have that dedicated to transit. Now, the problem with the gas tax, frankly, if you looked at when we ended last year, we actually for several months had more money coming in, and that was because gas prices went down, people had more money, the economy was infused. It was like a program to incentivize and reinvigorate the economy. Well, that worked, and revenues for the state were going up very well, I think several $100 million. And then we hit the end of the year, gas prices went up. You know, maybe it's coincidence, but I think there has to be some correlation. And if we do that with the gas tax, I think we're going to have a decrease, a falling off of the of revenue. So you add revenue, you lose some of the economy. You know, it's not a straight one-to-one, so we have to be more intelligent. And that's why these sideways of getting related activities in, I think, is more stable